Hello and welcome to Static. This is going to be my uncut sort of commentary, just sort of going through certain things and how I've changed certain areas, and like from little pieces from like feedback that I've got from people or other small little things like that, which makes the game more of a complete as a vertical slice, which I was aiming for, and mainly I was focusing through level design. And thankfully, with the help of Horror Engine through the UE4 marketplace, I was able to make a really cool little vertical slice through that, and as well to sort of show off my level design as well. As well as that, I made the AI, the NPC at the end of the game, as well as certain things, just sort of putting all the blueprints together. So I just want to make that clear. I didn't make any of the blueprints other than the actual AI itself, and just sort of compiled all the blueprints together to make it into a game. So since that's out of the way, let's get into it. So in this first part, I made it so when you're actually in the area, you sort of look around and glance at the actual house and look at the car boot. So the reason why I made something like this so simple is mainly essentially just you look at the house and that's for the objective. You can see things flickering in the background, such as, you know, the little that living room up there. I also didn't make it so the player can actually just walk into the house without any of the assets. With this in mind, I did actually break the fourth wall and sort of do a little Easter egg. So before you actually enter through the bathroom, it actually kills the player saying, "You are stupid, are you?" So since that is out of the way, let's just do this little part first and then we can continue. So if we continue with this, it says I need to go back for my things. Continue. And there's a little flashlight just showing to this ladder. If we go up here, it then says again, this player is a bit stupid, they need to get the items. And then when we go through here, it will kill the player. Just like that. Since that's out of the way, let's continue. So one of the first things that I did in this game is how someone can understand the controls, such as leaning, accessing the inventory, turning on your flashlight, activating your camera, shaking it, and so on and so forth. But I thought for the player to make it a bit more unique, instead of pressing escape and looking at it through an options menu, I made it so if you access the inventory by pressing tab, you can actually look at it here, which includes everything, such as WASD movement, QE to peek, space to jump, and vice versa. The way how the player understands that they can do this from the get-go is when they actually start running down here. So if we carry on running down here, it does actually tell you to say press tab to view controls in the subtitles. So in this, the brackets are very vital for the game to talk to the player than the actual character, because when you do that, it sort of helps the player understand how the controls work. So when you press now tab, you can sort of look around, and with the nice heads-up display which was provided by Horror Engine, you can sort of understand how to scroll through things, how to look at camera, how to stock up on batteries, and so on and so forth. From the outside, originally, the atmosphere was going to be with clouds in the air, but because of some lighting issues, I really wanted it so it really emphasizes on the dark atmosphere. So like, as you can tell, all the trees aren't really green or anything like that. They're just all dark and black. And that's exactly what I wanted. And I wanted sort of like rect lights and sort of flashing lights and sort of stuff. And the sort of the green, the more dark blue sort of atmosphere to sort of make the scene. So I made it like that, although you can still like have a little look around in the house and sort of make everything clear in the detail. So before you enter, you have to sort of open the door, but I made it so if you try and open the front door, it will automatically send a trigger here where I'm standing right now, and if you look over here, it'll mention to the player saying, oh right, I can now go over there, which just sort of helps with simple level design so the player can go into the right direction than being completely confused. Okay, so now Having in mind that maybe the player might not actually understand how to use the light or anything like that, when we walk into this corner, there is a flashing light here, which sort of flashes, has a little glance at the ladder. I did make this little blueprint where it does like a flashing light in certain intervals, but we can now go up here, climb up here, and we can have a little look in the nice little environment that I created, such as like all the clouded in, not clouded in, all the trees which close in on this abandoned film set in the Beverly Boulevard. So now, since we can climb up in here, we walk in and everything changes. So one of the things that I did for the start of the game is that I wanted the player to sort of feel welcomed into doing this. Since it's sort of light outside with all these lights and it's not like fully dark, the player is like, right, okay, maybe it might not be that dark. But when you enter, the lights turn off, and that's the main objective, is to turn on the lights. And one of the main sort of pillars in the video game, static, is loneliness and like atmosphere and interactivity and sort of light. So the player needs to use this flashlight to sort of navigate around the level, and sometimes, like as you can tell, the main objective is to turn on the power, but throughout certain parts through the level, some of the lights do explode, some of the lights aren't available to use, and some of them just turn off. So that sort of helps how the player sort of navigates around using mainly the flashlight, but also giving an option to sort of use these sort of lights around the house to sort of make it more welcoming. But it just makes it a lot more easier with the lights on, but with the different behaviors such as exploding, flickering, just staying on with a normal beam and turning off. So when you enter the room straight away, there's two things that you can look at. There's two rect lights, so this is a rect light and this is a rect light, and it shows you a little sort of like wardrobe area, and there's a little picture directing to the toilet which says take picture of the cameraroid. That's the very first thing that you need to start doing. So if you walk here and take a picture, it will document into your inventory, and you need to take 5 pictures of those, which is also documented here. Say what to take 5 evident things which could possibly lead to by a paranormal view, anomalies, blood, unsettling scenes. And then it says, note, make sure to bring the right items, camera, flashlight and pills. So if you actually saw before, it did say crap, I forgot my pills, because you didn't actually pick up any pills, because the guy's a bit of a doofus. So now, just for gameplay reasons, I'm going to turn on this door. You can do this in 2 different ways, but I'm going to do it with the door open, because I made it so there's different ways of how to experience the game from a first playthrough. So if the door's closed and you take a picture, nothing happens. But if I stay in this corner and take this picture right now, as you can see on the left side, the door actually closes. That's sort of to just make the play a bit more unsettling. There's no like straight up direction or direct jump scare or anything, but like certain things which change through the environment sort of makes the player unsettled, not wanting to continue but wants to complete the game. So yeah, since we took a picture of that, we can now look into this little room here, and as we can see, there's 2 cabinets. This cabinet doesn't have anything in it, but if we look in this cabinet, there is a diary and there is painkillers and there are some batteries. Let's take all of them. So as you can see on the bottom left, there's a health bar which has a little beating heart with 100%, again by the horror engine, and there's a little flashlight with a little sort of countdown, not countdown, but like a little bar showing the progression of how much batteries you use. And if you're low on health, you can use these pills by pressing the left click, or if you can top up using the batteries when it's actually fully out of the original battery which comes with it. And one of the things that I sort of done through level design is I've used these diaries. So there's 5 installments to this diary section, and it's about a person called just this sort of person who wants to sort of get into the media industry, and this is his very first gig as an intern. He really wanted to sort of come and sort of get more noticed in the industry in this little area. And through these diaries, they sort of mention how like weird things happen around him, how he met a friend called Austin, and certain things sort of foreshadowing the events in the game. For example, when you go downstairs, It mentions saying that there's like flickering lights and like a TV randomly turns on, which actually happens later on. And not only that, it also helps the player sort of understand some of the puzzles as well. So, for example, if you're in the blue key room and you pull the bookshelf backwards to sort of open the last area, there is a diary section right underneath it which mentions that you have to pull back a book from a bookshelf and that door opens, and they find it really weird why it does it. This is just so the player is a bit more understanding, and it shows more clues on how to actually navigate the level, how to complete the mission and finish the game. But other than that out of the way, it mentions here talking about how like the electricity goes off and is a bit faulty. How when you actually enter this area, the all the electricity comes off, so it sort of correlates to that sort of situation what literally just happened when you entered. So when we open, so knowing that you might not know how to sort of access this yet or use the controls, when you actually enter here, the light automatically turns on with the bracket saying F, and it's saying, it's really dark in here without my flashlight, and it says make sure you are stacked on batteries. So in level design originally, so the main area that you need to go is where the flashing light is. So if we turn off the light and there's only one little flashing light out of the abyss of the dark, I made the players so they can still walk around, but it really directs that you need to go up in that direction. So if we go downstairs, we can open doors, but it will just say certain door key needed. If we open that, it just says locked, and this says yellow key needed. Just like that. The front door's locked, would never know. And when we go upstairs, one door is open, but when you walk towards it, the door closes. You try and open it, and it just says blue key needed. All the doors are closed. And as I mentioned earlier, it says the brackets are sort of talking to the player on certain things which could help through the gameplay. So when sort of navigating everywhere but the attic, that happens. So now we can now go upstairs. Now with the flashlight here, just like this, when you walk through, the light explodes, and that sort of gives the player a little jump scare. It doesn't really direct the player on making him scared, but it just makes it a bit more spooky and just a bit more scary. Just like that. And when these little gaps are just sort of to give you extra light, to sort of help you, throughout the level. So when you actually look up, you can see the moon. And the reason why I sort of put the moon there, and as well as the sort of like the gap, is just to sort of disconnect you from the light, as it's really dark in these areas, and it makes you want to be in the light again because it's a very dark atmosphere. Walking around here and using your light to navigate through the level, you will be greeted by a purple key. We pick up this and we turn around and we will get jump scared by a ghost, which will take some of our damage. Like that. It took 78 part of our health, which gives us this little state of being in like big pain, with the static to just sort of make you feel weirded out. And the whole like theme of it is like static, TV static, and like how the ghosts are coming around. Thankfully, with Horror Engine, they actually really did help with the sort of the static theme, and a sort of put one and one together, and it helped the level quite a bit. So now, since we got the pills from the bathroom, we can now take them. Just like that. As you can tell in the bottom left, now the health is at 100% and the flashlight is nearly at half. Let's carry on using this light, and we can now navigate through the level and try it. So the light, the thing we picked up is the purple key, and with all these like doors, so like all of them are locked. We need to now find the handle with the purple handle, and it is here, which is the basement. The basement has two meanings. It has power, and it has an optional section that you don't actually necessarily need to go to. So it's this little door here. We'll go to it a bit later on. Now it turns on, power's turned on, and I'm sure I heard the door open upstairs, sort of directing the player to making them understand that a door opened, because with the sound, it makes you sort of understand, right, a door, I just literally heard the door. But when we enter here, the player looks at the door and it automatically opens, saying, that door just opened now. Walking around, it directs the player into this little room. You look around and nothing's really there. And you can hear that little orbit, which is the teleport upstairs. It's quite loud. But when you walk into here, there's 3 things: more batteries, more painkillers, and there's another diary. And this diary, it talks about how the TV randomly turns on and flickering lights. So if we go over here, we turn on this, that starts flickering, and that TV turns on. A lot of things in this game are very optional, such as if you turn off this TV, the light here explodes and static comes on the heads-up display. Just like that, but you don't actually need to do that. You could have just avoided that jump scare by having that there, because sometimes when you come into playing a game, maybe that the player might think that might be for another reason, but it's just to make the player unsettled, a bit more spooked. So like right now in this game, the only part you'll get hurt is at the end and the part when you're in the attic, nowhere else. And because you got attacked, you have that more scared feeling of when you get attacked again, with more pills around the map, which makes you think. So it's more of like a conscious thing, messing with the player's head to sort of understand that, right, maybe I might get attacked now, maybe later, maybe now, sort of thing, without actually knowing. It's in the unknown. Since we have the red key, we have an opportunity, and also that door closes when you walk past. When you go upstairs, there's a choice between 2 rooms. There's this room here, the portal room, and then there's the CCTV room. You can go in any way. You can take pictures in both rooms, and then you can just take keys and so on and so forth. But when we open this door right here, there is a portal there, and there is also a diary note. I'll have a little look at the diary. So it literally just talks about the random sort of anomaly. I only see these things in games like Metro, which is a personal favorite. And then it talks about like how, you know, it's saying like I'm certain there are only like these anomalies are only normal in paranormal activities or areas or electric that is abandoned. Although an electrician did fix up the lights, so it could be an exception, but in the Beverly Hills, I doubt that would happen. So questioning why is this anomaly here, which is pretty much this. And now, if you take a picture, it says, this is a weird choice, but what if I went in? This sort of talks to the player of what happens if you sort of enter the portal. Now, this is completely optional. This actually implies that the player has to go in, but you don't actually have to. Sort of the, you know, messing up with the mental, sort of making you do choices that you don't actually want to, but you could just leave and nothing would actually happen. So such as you leave, the door will close, and it closes, something's going to happen, I mean it, and you can continue with the game. But for the gameplay, we can now enter and go in this little area. This is a little puzzle trapped room, sort of inspired by games like Saw, where someone like looks over and sort of dictates how you play. But in this section, you look at this little note here, and it says, this is going to be fun, find the right keycard and leave, take forever and suffer. And basically what you need to do is find the right keycard, look around and sort of take, you know, try and find these, such as, you know, we need to find the keycard. But to make things quicker, as you already watched the gameplay, we're going to pick up this key, go to the green one and use my green key, open it and solve the puzzle. Before I continue with that, if we go up here, if you somehow have lost a lot of health, there are also batteries and things there. But if you're over here, the door's locked. You can't actually exit it. But when you go down here, use the key card, it will now be open. And now when you finish that and you turn around, there will be the ghost just there chilling. So now what I call the ghost in 2 states. There's its crazy mode and there's the spectator mode. And the spectating mode is when it just sort of judges and sort of looks around how the player is playing the game. And then in the end, when it finds the last area, it starts roaming and chasing and attacking you. So right now in this little state, it's just sort of judging and watching how you move. And then at the end, it sort of goes around and tries to actually actively go out to kill you. So now since we experienced that, we can now go into this little room and take a picture. So now we can close this door. We can now go into this room, and there's a bunch of things that we can do. So there's this door right here, which has flashing sort of like a lit up background behind the door, and there's a flashing light, and it sort of talks to the player saying, what the hell is with this flashing light and everything like that. And to help level design, since this is actually essentially a blackout, there's a red sort of line going down into the other room where the bookshelf is, to just help the player understand. If this was actually a full game, there would just be sort of like a yellow wire connected to the red flashing light beam, and just sort of connecting it to the back of the bookshelf, making it a bit nice, more of a spline than just some blocks. So now we can do two things. We can take this key and take these batteries and take the pictures with the bones. As you can see. If we can now go back in our inventory, we can now go through all the portals that we've done. It has its own thing, and if it's not the right one, it will just say a developed photo for memories. But when we take a picture, it will just say bones, a weird teleporter, or a weird portal which teleports, blood, bathroom, and certain things like that. So now, since we've done that, we'll come here and we'll find the ghost in its spectating mode. So it just sort of comes up to you a little bit and then just escapes. If you do go into it, you do get attacked, but it's still spectating you. It's not actively looking out to attack you. And now, since you can see the light is now flickering from the flashlight, that means it's about to die. As you can see in the bottom left, it's actually depleting as we speak. But as we have now took the yellow key, we can now go downstairs and use the yellow door, or yeah, the yellow handle. As you can see, like, the light is really low now, we can't really see much. So if we, I think it's, yeah, now since the battery's now stocked up, it's a lot more lighter, which is good. Just take that down and we can now turn on this light. When we enter this, there's a lot of flashing lights in certain intervals. As you can tell, they're not all at the same time. So when we walk into here, there's a flashing light which goes to this little thing right here, which is the fourth introduction. And this basically just talks about how this place is only crazy, and it's like my advisor mentioned to keep my mind at bay to add up these blocks. And he sort of says, where did that teleport come from? Every time we come back to the set, the quicker I want to leave. I know something's going to happen. Like if I just turn around, I'll get scared by someone. Which sort of means about when you went upstairs earlier and you took the picture of the bones, you turn around and the ghost was just in front of you. Or when you left the portal, there was just someone right there. It sort of talks and sort of correlates these events together. Now since this is happening, we can now sort of look around and you'll be able to find this blue key right here. And now it says here, that might be for the locked room upstairs, so many keys. When we go outside, this light will explode. Again, just to scare the player, not to make the player die or anything. It's just going to keep it onto his, onto his toes. So now that we've got that, we can now enter this. When we enter here, we'll be greeted by a lot of things. For example, the red line, the door also closes with some static. But if we open this door now, the line sort of goes to the bookshelf. So now, we'll just close that door. We can now, when we walk a bit forward, we'll be able to look at that. But when you see there is a ghost now appears, so it still is in its spectator mode. It knows that you're looking there, and it's just going to chill there till you figure out how to open this. It's sort of like saying, if you open this, I'll go crazy. So yeah, next thing we're going to do is just turn on this, and then the lights turn off. As you already know, you've watched the gameplay, so I'll digress through that. And then through here, this is the final diary, and it sort of talks about how, how this, what is it called? How the, how to open up the locked room, and sort of how his friend Austin got caught up in there. And it sort of says, why did he not say anything? And he's like, regardless, it was interesting, but a weird find. So if we open this and we look at that, it now moves. It comes straight to you. The door opens. The chase music comes on. And if you open up this, the monster will be there. It starts chasing you. Tries to chase you anyway. Oh yeah, it'll just run away. Certain things like that. Comes down. Look, he's found me again. I'll just close the door so it doesn't come to me. See, with since this is mainly focused for level design, I haven't really made the AI perfect. Like, for example, going through doors and certain things like that, so you can't escape. I just made it so if you close the door, it can't really attack you. But yeah, now since this is open, I can now take a picture. Oh, since we're out of batteries, sorry, our cameraoids, we can now use our final cameraoid that we got at the start of the game. Take a picture of that, and then everything goes crazy. You've took all the pictures now. I better leave right now. All the lights turn off. The character goes mad. The door closes. Crap, the bathroom door closed. And then when you walk down here, what is it called? The thing teleports in front of you, which teleports you into the kitchen. And now, since the ghost knows where you are, you have to sort of escape. So now you can escape just like that. And then you can leave. The door closes in front of you, but you can just open it like that. And you can now leave, and it says go back to the beginning of the game. And then it will just turn around saying, thank you for playing my game. As I mentioned, this is a vertical slice. It's not like the end product. But if it was made into a proper game, it'll be more of a setting where the character gets killed, and then, or the character in the prologue, what you're playing right now, gets killed, and you sort of foreshow or experience the events, what happened after it, how the events, the ghost goes crazy, killing them, blood everywhere, sort of thing like that. But this is more of just a little taste of what this game could be. Thank you very much for watching the uncut commentary and the actual gameplay. Hope you take care. Goodbye.